Thanks for tuning in to the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast. Before we get to this week's episode, I'm thrilled to say that yesterday we had some very exciting news. We are so excited to have Beth Getz named our new athletic director for the University of Iowa Athletics. She has proven herself to be an incredible leader, and we know we are in the best hands as our university moves forward. I personally have enjoyed every encounter I've had with Beth, and I know myself and all of the head coaches here are so excited about her leadership leading us forward. We welcome Beth with open arms, and we're so excited for what's ahead for Hawkeye Athletics. Beth has been on our Hawkeye Women Rise podcast. We featured her in the December episode, and I loved hearing her story. She's been a huge proponent of Hawkeye Women Rise Capital campaign in all of our University of Iowa sports, and especially our University of Iowa women's sports. The future is bright for Iowa athletics. And now to this week's episode of Hawkeye Women Rise with head coach Larissa Libby and head coach Jenny Eustice.
It's bigger than just a game.
Keep your eye on number 22. Are looking. Here's Clark. She fires and goes!
These moments have a greater impact on the next generation. She wants to be strong like her, determined like her, confident like her, win like her. This is why we do it. We are on the rise, and it's only the beginning for her. It's time to support her. Together, Hawkeye Women Rise.
On the Hawkeye Sports Network from Learfield, this is the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast, presented by the Iowa City Area Sports Commission.
My entire life had revolved around competitive sport. And so it was that experience that gave me the drive to try to change things,
because we have nothing to lose and we have absolutely everything to gain.
Hawkeye Women Rise podcast highlights the past, present, and future of Iowa women's sports. We tell remarkable stories, highlight incredible accomplishments both in competition and life. Feel inspired by the stories of adversity overcome and celebrate Iowa women's athletics. Together, Hawkeye Women Rise. Live from the Iowa Athletic Club in the Iowa River Landing, this is Hawkeye Women Rise, presented by the Iowa City Area Sports Commission. Here's the host of Hawkeye Women Rise, Iowa tennis coach Sasha Schmid.
Hello. And welcome back once again to the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast with our live audience here in the Iowa River Landing at the Athletic Club. We are so thankful for all of the wonderful supporters who braved the very frigid temperatures to join us today. Thank you all for coming out. We've got two incredible women to feature today and two incredible programs, and I'm so excited to talk about Iowa Gymnastics and our Iowa dance team. We are celebrating some amazing accomplishments on both of these programs. But first, I want to definitely make sure that I thank our sponsor, the Iowa City Area Sports Commission. They have been incredible for Iowa women's athletics. They host this podcast, and we are so thankful for their support. It has been a delay of a week for hosting the show because we are boxed in between two blizzards here in Iowa City. But we're definitely feeling the winter, and winter sports are a wonderful time to be able to celebrate a whole skew of new programs that are out competing, and we're going to be able to talk about the women's gymnastics program, which has just started their winter season, and also our University of Iowa dance team that just got back from an incredible performance, many top 10 performances at UDA Nationals. But before we get to our guests, it's our first segment is called Support Her. And I want to be able just to call attention to our Hawkeye Women Rise Capital campaign, of which this podcast is named after. The two programs that we're featuring today are definitely benefiting from this capital campaign, as they are seeing an incredible facility begin construction kind of in my neighborhood, not too far from the HTRC tennis courts. The Gymnastics and Spirit Squad facility has begun construction, and the project is slated to be completed this year, December of 2024. It is being on the west side of campus next to the HTRC, our Iowa soccer and field hockey facilities, and our Iowa sports medicine. And we're definitely going to be able to talk about that facility today. HawkeyeWomenRise.org continues to be a website that is updated with all sorts of information about the Capital campaign. And it talks about all of the ways you can support all of our women's teams. You can make a gift to any women's team through HawkeyeWomenRise.org, or give Sloan Tyler or any of our athletics fundraising team members a call at the UI Center for Advancement. You can always call to ask more questions and learn more. We are so grateful for the Hawkeye Women Rise Capital campaign. It is definitely impacting all of our women's sports, and it's definitely going to be propelling us into the next 50 years of Iowa athletics. The other way that you can continue to support Iowa athletics is by attending our home events. We are setting incredible attendance records across sports here at the University of Iowa. On Friday, January 19th and Saturday, January 20th, track and field is hosting the Larry Wazorek track meet at the Hawkeye Indoor and Track Facility. Coach Wazorek was a favorite of mine as a student athlete at the University of Iowa. This is a great tribute to him and an incredible track meet. If you have not been able to get out to our amazing facility, we have one of the fastest tracks in the nation, and they are setting records every track meet. Be sure to go check out our cross-country track team this weekend. On Sunday, January 21st, our top-ranked women's wrestling team will host the Iowa Duels at Carver Hawkeye Arena beginning at 2 p.m. This is the last home meet of the season, and we are making a huge push to set a new attendance record. We already set a world record for women's wrestling earlier this year, and this is our last time to be able to beat that. I think we set the record at 8,600 in attendance, so let's see if we can brave the cold. All of our Hawkeye fans come out to Carver Hawkeye Arena and be able to break that record and even get more people in attendance. That's an incredible program, an incredible coach. Definitely you will not be disappointed if you can brave the cold and get out to Carver Hawkeye Arena. We also have our nationally ranked women's basketball team hosting Nebraska at 1 p.m. on Saturday, 27th of January, and track and field will be back again with another track meet on January 27th. So closing out January, there's a ton of things for you to take in here in Iowa City. We appreciate all you do to support Iowa women's athletics and all of our teams here at the University of Iowa. Now, let's get to our incredible two guests. We are featuring our head women's gymnastics coach, Larissa Libby, and our head University of Iowa dance team coach, Jenny Eustice. They are here with me in our Inspire Her segment. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're definitely going to be inspired by these two amazing women. We will be right back.
The Iowa City Area Sports Commission is responsible for our community being home to countless amateur sporting events and state tournaments. From state volleyball, wrestling, tennis, and much, much more, the Sports Commission generates significant annual economic impact while adding substantially to our quality of life. The Iowa City Area Sports Commission is a proud presenting sponsor of UI Women's Athletics. Learn more at wegotnext.org.
Hawkeye Women Rise is our campaign to support all women's athletic teams here at Iowa. We are building a practice facility for our gymnastics program and spirit squads, and an operations building for our field hockey team, and that's just the beginning. These projects and the goals and plans ahead will be made possible thanks to the generous support of our donors and friends. Selling out the home women's basketball schedule and our first trip to the national championship game are two accomplishments we are really proud of, and you are part of that. We plan to keep it going, and we do that thanks to your generous support. The women who wear the black and gold are capable of absolutely amazing things. Thank you for providing the resources and the support for them to passionately pursue their goals. Please visit HawkeyeWomenRise.org to learn more.
Welcome back to Hawkeye Women Rise here at the Athletic Club in the Iowa River Landing. We are so thankful for the Athletic Club sponsoring this podcast and for allowing us to become in person in front of a live audience. And we are very grateful for our sponsor, the Iowa City Area Sports Commission, sponsoring this podcast and all of the University of Iowa women's programs. I almost said women's tennis programs, but all of our women's programs. They have been huge supporters. And we also have a unique connection today with one of our guests with the Iowa City Area Sports Commission. Coach Jenny Eustice's husband works for the Sports Commission. So we got to thank Luke Eustice, who is definitely here to support you and support the podcast. Incredible.
So great.
Go, Luke.
Also volunteer assistant dance team coach.
I want to get to that. I want to get to that for sure. Okay, you guys. So we have 2 incredible programs today. I want to introduce my guests. So this is head coach and good friend Larissa Libby, who runs our University of Iowa Women's Gymnastics program. Larissa, thanks for joining us.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
And good friend, incredible mom, amazing assistant principal at West High, and in her free time runs head coach of University of Iowa dance team, head coach Jenny Eustice. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you.
So this is incredible, and I'm so excited to talk to these 2 incredible women. Larissa, let's start with gymnastics. You guys are coming off a big win over the University of Washington to open here at Extreme Arena in the middle of a blizzard.
Yes.
And this is a team that we are welcoming into the Big Ten, who's going to be a great addition to the league. Tell me a little bit about the first meet and your team and how it went.
Certainly the weather was not fun for us, and welcoming Washington, the big, hey, welcome to the Big Ten, this is what you're going to have to deal with, was difficult, but they were troopers and had great attitudes the whole time. They were excited to be here, and the thing that they mentioned all the time was how courteous and kind everybody was to help them throughout all of the 3.5 days that they got stuck here. So, it was a good win for us. I feel like our 2 teams are very well matched. I felt like that on paper, but then when we got into the arena and watched each other's gymnastics, I think where their weaknesses are pretty similar to ours, and same with the strength. So it was an exciting competition, and I would love to say thank you to, first of all, facilities who braved the cold and brought all of our equipment over and made sure that everything was set perfectly. Everybody that showed up, and there were tons of people in the stands that had children, and I am so grateful, because it would have been a very different scenario if it was silent in that arena for the first time, especially for our freshmen. But honestly, if you didn't know that there was nobody in there, you would not have been able to tell. It was quite loud, and a really great experience. We ended up, I think we edged them by just a couple of tenths, and I happened to see their last beam routine as we were entering our last floor routine, and in my head I was like, oh my God, that was a 10. I don't know how we're going to pass that. But, Adeline Kenlin is our last person up on floor, and that is why she's in that position. She's a senior, and she's an incredible athlete who's in incredible shape this year and has really focused on what she needs to do to go the long haul. So she ended up scoring a record for her, 9.925 on floor, and we edged out our soon-to-be Big Ten partner.
And Adeline was the ultimate all-around champion for the meet. Yeah, incredible. And a local kid.
Yes, Iowa City native, yes.
Which is so fun.
Yeah.
And I saw that you had quite a good turnout, as always, with great parents.
Oh, yes. Our parents are incredible. You can't do this without the backing of parents. And they're not from here. Like, a lot of the parents are from Florida and places that are a lot warmer. So it was really difficult for them to get here. And I'm telling you, they did everything above and beyond to make sure that it looked and felt and sounded like there was a massive crowd there. So, our parents are what make us go.
And next up is Minnesota.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that. And that's always been a great rivalry.
It has been, and it became this thing during COVID.
Yeah.
We've always been back and forth, but during COVID, when we were only able to see Big Ten teams, and then people were getting dropped out of different competitions, we went back and forth with them because they're so close. We accepted them into a meet, they accepted us, and so we kind of became this Big Ten family. Yeah. Their fans were cheering us on, and vice versa, and so we just became pretty close. And now, we've won one, they won one, and we keep flipping back and forth, and it's a new era for both of our teams. We're losing quite a bit of seniors, not our last class, but the year before, and they are in the same position. So it will be interesting. It's kind of been every sport's been going against Minnesota Wrestling was against Minnesota. Basketball against
Men's
Minnesota
last night.
Yep. And then we're going into this with Minnesota up there. So I do think that we're a good match, but they are tough. They are tough competitors. They're consistently ranked in the top 20, and they're tough to beat at home. So, like I said, we have a really young team, but we have a very, very scrappy team. So I think it's going to be good.
Your team just went into the top 20 national rankings now
Yes.
this week, coming out at 18 in the nation. Congrats on that.
Thank you.
I also wanted to ask about Karina Munoz.
Oh, goodness.
Tell me about her.
Well, okay. Well, what do you want to know? She is life. She is like those little toys that you wind up and she just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And I think it was kind of unexpected when I recruited her. Like, her leadership, her gymnastics, all of those things were very evident. This side of her is that's coming out, the fun part, and it's the thing that we love about the culture. It allows each person to be individually who they are. So we don't have a bunch of kids that are like that, but we have maybe 4 or 5, a handful, and she brings it every single time. It's not that she's great. You want to watch her. Because she's fun.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, she's fun. She involves the crowd. She tries to make sure that the young women that are in the crowd that are going to be aspiring gymnasts feel like they're part of the show. So she's done an incredible job as a young athlete for us, and I'm excited to see where she goes.
You always put on such good shows at the gymnastics meet. It's something that our community loves to attend. It's fun, and it's such just great entertainment.
Thanks.
And I think she's going to fit in there and be a crowd favorite.
Oh, absolutely. And if you don't know her, you will know her very soon. She makes herself known, not just by her gymnastics. So it's exciting.
One of the things that I love about coming to the gymnastics meet is also just the floor routines, and I love your choreography and the way you put those together with the music. And I love listening to the entire process when you pick out the songs and when you think about in a vision of how you want this to be. And it is such a great transition.
In the presence of greatness right here.
To be able to be with Jenny today, to be able to be like looking at the synergy that comes from both of you. So Jenny, I'm excited to speak with you because in the last, 5 to 7 years, I've become more involved in dance than I ever thought, with a daughter who competes in dance. And I have such tremendous respect for dancing and competitive dancing, and had a chance to talk with you on Herky's Voice once and learn your journey and learn your past and national championship at the University of Minnesota on the dance team. We're so fortunate to have you here at the University of Iowa, and talk a little bit about how the dance team is doing. And we had Larissa in town with travel, problems and issues here, and you were just in Florida and had a difficult travel coming home and got back at 3 a.m. and are here joining us today. So appreciate that.
Yeah, no, we just got back from Nationals, which is our essentially one and only competition for the season. And it's something that I think maybe the general public doesn't get to see a lot of, because you see us often on the sidelines of football or basketball and cheering on other athletes. But then we also get our own competition once a year, UDA Nationals in Orlando, Florida. And it's a lot. You're basically training for an entire season for 2 minutes on the floor for each routine. And, it's a culmination of an entire season and a lot of work. And sometimes it's the highest of highs and lowest of lows all together. But I think, one thing I'm just incredibly proud of is how our team represented the University of Iowa on the national stage.
So you took away 2 top 10 performances, 6 in the nation in game day and 8 in the nation in Palm. Mm-hmm. I was a fan favorite of your jazz routine.
Yes.
I loved that, especially to the Taylor Swift songs.
Oh,
yes. Yes, loved it.
Yeah.
And definitely was watching the highlight films and was just so inspired by the dance routine and how hard it is for these young women to be working hard. Talk a little bit about what goes into being on the dance team. I'm not quite sure our Hawkeye community understands.
Yeah, so like I said, what you see on the sideline is one aspect of what we do. Probably about 75% of our season is devoted to sideline material, and the level of skill is just completely different at that level versus what you're doing on the national stage. The amount of technique and artistry that go into our nationals routine is just very different from what we do on the sideline. Sideline is very traditional, pom-based. We're dancing with our marching band. We have a wonderful relationship with the Hawkeye marching band. We get to be a part of their fantastic halftime shows. I'm not sure if you caught the Metallica show.
Yes.
And, you know, we were rocking out with some blow-up guitars and, you know, doing things like a double pirouette, you know, maybe a kick to your face, and that's about it. When we go to nationals, you're doing 2 to 3 8 count turn sequences. You're doing 5, 6, 7 rotations on a pirouette, which is just an incredible jump in skill level. So we have to train both things, which, you know, requires a great balance as we're going throughout the season. And it really requires the athletes on my team to be multifaceted, to be able to engage the crowd on game day, to engage with fans, but then also turn around and have the technique and skill to be able to compete at the highest level.
You know, when I watch both of your programs compete, like when somebody does an incredible beam performance and nails it, and when they all do their turn sections together in sync and they nail it, it almost sometimes can make you emotional, because it is such so much work went into hitting it. And I have so much respect for all of the hours that went into those athletes being able to perfect that and then be able to bring it in a competition. It's really is incredible. So incredibly proud of what they accomplish. Do you guys interact on dance and choreography?
I wish.
I wish we could do that more.
Yeah,
right?
I do. I'm sure she doesn't wish that from my side.
Absolutely.
Stop that. And yes, that's part of the excitement of the new facility and going into this facility with cheer and dance. There is the gymnastic base in all three. And I just think that we could help each other more if we were in closer proximity. You know, a lot of the times cheerleading needs to tumble, or I need help with dance. And we have one of the best in the country sitting right here. And I don't often get to see her. And what she has done I have been here a really long time. And since she has taken over, I don't think people that really understood that there was a dance team, or that you have to do these things, or that there is training, or I don't think that, I mean, social media has certainly helped, you know, to give some kind of light to what goes on behind the scenes. But, like, I don't think that what she described is probably a tenth of what it really, really takes, because she's not talking about, she doesn't get to train them in the summer. They're on their own in the summer. So they have to come back ready to go so that they could do both sides. So I feel very blessed that we have Jenny, and that we're going to get the opportunity to be around her more and her athletes, and yes, they are athletes, because what they have to go through, you kick your leg up in the air. It's not that easy. And look how cold it is. I wouldn't want to do that. I have a parka in the gym. I wouldn't want to be, and you know, and they do it without complaint, and we're all so excited when they come out. And I just, to see what's behind the scenes, or have any knowledge of the very little that we know, they're incredible. So I am grateful that we're going to have this opportunity. Maybe we'll be a little bit stronger in choreography, because I don't get to perfect dance. I don't get to take classes. I don't really have time. And my body can't handle that anymore. So
It's gonna be a great.
This is gonna be really helpful.
I was just gonna say the same thing, because I think, you know, on the flip side, dance has become, like you said, much more gymnastics based. And so, you know, when I have a choreographer come in and say, I want the whole team to do a front aerial snap down, I'm like, all right,
cool.
I don't know how to teach that, but I'm going to figure it out, right? Or I'm going to use the dancers on my team. But to be able to have that proximity, you know, to be around each other, I think is going to be so great. And I also think it's going to be great for our athletes, because it just expands their support system, their network of people that see on a daily basis what they're doing, the work they're putting in, and just somebody to, you know, say, like, I see you, I see what you're doing, and I appreciate you. I think that's going to be awesome as well.
Feel validated with what you do.
No, that I think that the building is going to have so many benefits. And let's talk a little bit about this building and how it's coming together and what it's going to include and how it's going to impact both of your programs. One, we know just by virtue of you guys being together to be in the same building is going to have incredible synergy and be something that's going to build relationships and really great chemistry. But talk a little bit about how big of a game changer this is for you, Larissa. I mean, this is a long time coming.
Yeah, it's a long time coming. 24 years, something like that. Recruiting, first of all, you can't you can't talk about athletics without talking about recruiting, because that game is changing on its own every single day, every single minute. And I feel like we have done an incredible job staying in the top 20, staying ranked in the country, and giving everything that we've got with what we have. This, I think, will be the next step into accessing the top-notch student athletes or recruits that are around the country. I think who we have, we worked hard to recruit those young ladies, and I don't want to slight them by saying they're not the top of the crop, and that's not true. They are, and it takes a special person to commit to our program, because it's not just about gymnastics. It's about gymnastics and academics and the culture of the program that binds us together. And ultimately, when they leave us, their experience with us is not just about gymnastics. They have to be able to function in this world, and it is ever changing with NIL and all of the opportunities that I see all these women coaches out here that we have fought forever to have these opportunities and to access all of these different things that we've not been able to have before. And it's a lot. It's a lot to manage. And so you have to be smart about how you're recruiting and making sure that, yes, you have all of the top-notch facilities and everything that they can possibly need to take care of themselves while they're here, and for us to take care of them properly. And that's mind, spirit, body, soul. And then you've got all of the academic. It's just a lot. So going back to the facility, it's not just going to be a better training situation for us from a safety standpoint. It's going to be everything. It's all in one place. You know, they're from time management to mental health, all of the things that like cause a student athlete, and not just ours, to be in stress. This will help to relieve 99.9% of those things. And I am so very grateful to everyone that fought so hard for it to come to fruition.
And still fundraising through the HawkeyeWomenRise.org, because you've got a lot of naming opportunities that go into a building like this, being able to name the different training rooms and the different locker space and at coaches' offices. So we're continuing to, want to add supporters to be able to join this effort too and make this come true and put your impact on a program that definitely is going to see the benefits of this. And I know for you, Jenny, not only is it coming into a facility that you've been in so great of need for, it also is coming on the heels of the athletic department really doubling down on bringing the dance team into the athletic department and being able to make sure that they know that they are student athletes, a part of our department, getting eye rings, getting Letterman's jackets, coming into the Letterman's varsity program. This is really kind of a fresh new start for the dance team and the spirit squads.
Yeah, we're very excited. This will be the first year that the dancers and cheerleaders and our mascots are accepted into the Letter Winners Club, so they'll get they have the opportunity to earn a letter jacket, and get that eye ring as they graduate. And so I think that, again, what you said, it just says to the student athlete, we see you, what the work that you're doing is worth it, and we appreciate you. And we are one of the very few spirit squads in the country that will have our own facility. And so I think, going back to Larissa, recruiting is a newer concept in the cheer and dance team world. And so I think, as we are embarking on that, this is the 5th season, I think, that I've done a more recruitment-based model of getting new dancers to my team. And so being able to say, you come here, look at how important you are. Look at how much the athletic department values you as a member of the Spirit Squad, and you don't get that a lot of places. And so I think that's something that's really huge. To Larissa's point of the stress that goes on, we practice in 4 different facilities. We're at the field house sometimes, we're at Carver Hawkeye Arena sometimes, we're at Halsey Hall. We greatly appreciate the University of Iowa Dance Department for allowing us to use that space. So we're kind of bopping around, and on any given week, we might practice in 3 different spaces. And so when you're trying to prepare for competition that looks one way, but then you're practicing in places that look completely different or feel completely different, it's a challenge. And so just to be able to have a floor that is exactly the same as our competition floor. I mean, could you imagine practicing tennis on a clay court and then going and playing on a grass. I don't do you play tennis on a grass court? Yeah.
That's
Okay, great.
good. These are great analogies.
Okay, good. Because, it would be, you wouldn't be prepared. It's tennis, but it's not really the same, right? And so I think that's something that I'm just really excited for.
You're going to have a Marley floor.
Yes, we'll have a Marley floor, and we'll be able to tape our lines and be able to, just have a state-of-the-art video equipment system where we can have playback instantaneously, which, usually I'm videotaping on an iPad and then playing it back and holding it up and trying to connect to a TV, and, it just takes time out of practice. And so I'm excited for our practices to be more efficient, for the dancers to have, just a more calm experience as we're preparing for nationals, because we're not trying to find space, move around, things like that. So
real game changer.
Yeah, very excited.
And you both will be my neighbors right across the street. So I'm looking forward to seeing you more and more. Jenny, you not only coach the dance team, but you also are assistant principal at West High, which is literally going to be just blocks away from this new facility. Yeah. So you're going to definitely be, wearing a path from West High over to the new dance. It's actually perfect.
Yes.
It's so exciting. It's really wonderful. And really the West Side campus is becoming such a wonderful place for so many of our women's sports. And I think that's only going to continue to grow through the Hawkeye Women Rise program. We know that we are also currently fundraising for our field hockey operations building, which would also be housed right out in that same area. And so there are so many ways that people can contribute to the Hawkeye Women Rise program and continue to give to our women's programs, and really kind of have a headquarters on the West Side, which I find is like so incredibly lovely, because just to be able to have the interaction that my team's going to be able to have with both of your teams will be really wonderful.
Yeah, I think that to Jenny's point, we never see each other unless they need help coming into the gym, or it's very rare that we get to see each other. And the student athletes that are living together when they're first coming into the dorm, and then they're moving out and they're staying together, like that's an experience on its own. But then you see, we had student athletes that came to our, God bless them, that came to our competition against Washington, and they want to be a part of it. They just don't know. And we're so excited for our student athletes to have the opportunity to not just have to go out and seek people, but be there and watch. And it is something cool to be able to see and learn about other people's sports, that they, especially with gymnastics, you start it when you're 3, and it's something that you only do. And so we can't do anything else. We're not that good at other sports, a tennis racket, it's not good for us. So just to see the dynamic that other teams have, or how they train and learn about those things, to have a broader experience, it's going to be pretty exciting.
And really think that this is probably you've got one more UDA round, and then you're going to be able to be training in this new facility. It's pretty incredible.
I know. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Very, very exciting. Okay, Larissa, tell me a little bit about the upcoming season and what the Big Ten looks like, and just a little outlook as we kind of pull the blinds back a little bit and look at Big Ten gymnastics.
It's a hard time to have a young team, I'll say that. The Big Ten is incredible. And not just the Big Ten, but the top 25 just in general. There are those people that are the outliers, but then wow, just gymnastics across the country has exploded. And the parity is at an all-time high. So it's going to be tough for our young, scrappy team. However, they're thinkers, and they're feelers, and they work really hard. And they're looking at that big picture, but have honed in on the things that they think they're capable of doing, and created goals that they aspire to do and aspire to be. And I think the little taste of being able to come back and win against Washington, who went to the second round. That's a round way ahead of us
of NCAA's.
Yeah. So I think that experience, everybody was just a little sharper on practice the next day, and wanting to do just a little bit more. And that's where that's our job, to pull them back and remind them that yes, that's great, but it's the long haul. We got to make sure that we can sustain enough to be there over time. It's going to be tough. I think that we can be. I think that we should be in the top 15, and that's where we plan on being. And we've told them that we intend to be in Fort Worth, and that's where the national championship is. We've already, gotten cowboy hats and taken pictures and done all these things so to make sure that they understand we believe that you're going to be in Fort Worth. So it's not enough for me to believe that. And I think that they do. Slowly but surely, they're understanding because they're young, they're understanding what it's going to take to get there. And that's half the battle. You have to know where you're going before you can put the effort in to get there. So I think we're going to be okay.
I love that, visualizing with some cowboy hats and where they're going. I like it. And really being able to see their growth over the course of the season is going to be fun for our Hawkeye fans to see and watch them develop. Your teams always improve, and they always have their best gymnastics at the end of the season, which I always admire about you.
Thanks.
Really, that's not easy, especially in a difficult sport that takes such a toll on your body.
Yeah.
Also, looking at next year, what's it going to be like to have UCLA in the league?
UCLA and Washington. I think that we've done a heck of a job recruiting. We'll have 3 Canadian national team members coming in. All 3 will be vying for an Olympic berth. Why our team is so young right now is because they all deferred. And you have to give them that, that dream only stays for so long. Although that is changing now. There's been a lot of NCAA athletes that have gone back and have made their national team and their Olympic team. So who knows? We're very excited for what we're bringing in, but we're also excited for what we have right now. Ava Volpe, Elise Karenbauer, they're 2 freshmen that made a stake on their first night out. To have a freshman that Ava did the all-around on the first night with a 39.1, and I know that that's really hard to understand, but it's one of the higher all-around scores that you can have as a freshman, and she hit all 4 events. I mean, like a champ. Like you would not know if you watched her that she was a freshman. And that's what we're excited about. Yes, these people coming in are incredible. But what we have right now, if we can do the right thing and mold them the right way, what they're going to bring wow. Yeah. We're going to be so good. We're going to be so good. And I'm really excited about the future, also because the places that we have for them to train, what that attracts with recruiting. But right now, where my focus is, I am absolutely thrilled with the team that we have. It's hard, believe me. Preseason it's taken its toll on all of my staff, and it's been tough to go back and have a young team again. But they are in it for the right reasons, and they are hungry, and that's exciting when you've got brand new staff and brand new team, and they're all on the same page. It's fantastic. I'm super excited.
A lot of the ingredients all coming together.
Yeah.
Building the foundation, being able to have some really good recruits coming in next year, joining the team in the midst of a new facility, in the midst of an expanding competitive league. Lots of things that are going to be only exciting for you. And I think, you and I, we've been doing this for a while.
Yes.
And so sometimes
Couple
being
years.
able to infuse some new
2 or 3.
some new things and some new excitement is kind of welcomed.
Yeah. Washington and UCLA, they're national prowess.
Yeah.
I mean, always. But they're coming into the Big Ten. It's very different than the Pac-12. So we are excited. We feel like we'll match up very well. We are aware of the talent that they recruit, and I will never say that, we're just going to be – you never know what brings from year to year. But that is the beauty of gymnastics. Everybody starts from a 10. It doesn't matter whether you're an Olympian. It doesn't matter whether you're on the national team. A level 9 can compete with an Olympian. And on that day, you might be beaten. You got to stay up. Everybody's got to stay up. So, we're really excited about where they're going, what they could do. And at the end of the day, whatever happens, they're doing the right things now. And they have the right mindset now. So whatever happens at the end, no regrets. And that's where we always want to finish with our teams.
Jenny, what is in store for the dance team as you guys got back from UDA now, transitioning to basketball season? And tell me a little bit of how it wraps up from here.
Yeah, I mean, a little sleep first, step one. But yeah, we're excited to continue to cheer on both the men's and women's programs as they finish out their seasons here at home. We do get to travel with them to Big Ten championships as well as any other postseason opportunities, which is really fun because, you know, your season could end in March or your season could end in April, and the goal I think is probably always for the season, for the basketball teams at least, I'm not going to speak for them, but I think you want your season to end in April, and that was something that, you know, some of the dance and cheerleaders got to experience last year, that incredible run with the women's basketball team all the way to the Final Four in April, which was so great. And we'll also be cheering on both men's and women's wrestling programs at home, which is so exciting. I mean, I think the one thing that is a great recruitment tool for me is Hawkeye fans are like none other. And, you know, part of it is because there aren't any professional sports teams in the state of Iowa. So if you're a Hawkeye fan, you are a diehard Hawkeye fan, and people will, it doesn't, I don't think it necessarily matters what sport you're in. If people see you wearing a Tiger Hawk, you're going to get a Go Hawks. I mean, we were in Disney World yesterday and probably got 17 Go Hawks because we were all wearing our Iowa dance team shirts, which is exciting. And so, you know, just continuing to perform at games. We are working to coordinate our annual halftime performance with the football team, which is always a fan favorite. And it's always fun for me to get to work with some of the football players because they're like, Coach Jenny, dance is really hard. Like, yes, welcome. So it's kind of fun to do some of those crossover things because, like Larissa said, not everybody understands what goes into the performance. I know Coach Larissa with the women's wrestling program really wants to do a dance routine as well, and I have to keep reminding her, like, you're in season. We can do that later. But they really want to learn how to dance as well. I'm not sure. So come one, come all. If anyone wants to learn how to dance, well, we're here. We're here for you. But yeah, we're just continuing to train and then preparing for next season. We're kind of a year-round sport. It never really stops. I mean, if they're not training here, they're training on their own. A lot of them will go teach in the summer, choreograph in the summer, do summer intensives here. We run our own camps, and then, you know, just get started back again in the fall.
It doesn't really ever stop. No,
it doesn't.
Well, we have loved hearing about this, and I'm very excited about both your programs, and it's been fun to kind of get a little bit more of an inside look today and listen to you telling us more and more about their personalities and their workouts and their routines. We also have some questions from our audience, so if you guys can stick around with me for a little bit, we'll be back with our final segment that's called Empower Her, when we take some questions from our audience. We'll be right back.
Who would have thought that a small-town kid from Iowa would be here today?
Can't thank them enough for all they've done. And each and every one of these guys really has embodied, you know, what it means to be a Hawkeye.
Seriously, this is a great moment for us as a university. We have an incredible thing here, and we're not done yet.
The Portland Trailblazers select Chris Murray from the University of Iowa.
Fans rise to their feet at a packed Dwayne Banks Field today. Cold third stride.
The thing that I appreciate the most about Spencer Lee is he never batted an eye and shied away from it because he is a ferocious competitor. Make no mistake about it.
Inconceivable! Iowa wins it! How did this team do it? Very few thought you could.
You know, all we do is believe in one another, and we love each other to death. I mean, that's what a true team is.
There's nothing like being a part of Hawkeye Nation.
We gon' take it to the top. We ain't never giving up. We ain't never gonna stop to the very last second till we're running out the clock.
Here's Clark. She fires. The Hawkeyes are headed to the national championship game.
We're going to the national championship!
To the very last second till we're running out the clock. We ain't never backing down. We ain't never gonna stop. We gon' take it to the limit. We gon' take it to the top. We ain't never giving up. We ain't never gonna stop to the very last second till we're running out the clock.
The Hawkeye Women Rise campaign was launched to fundraise resources for all 14 of our women's sports, generating resources that will allow us to continue to build on the storied success we have here at Iowa. Hawkeye Women Rise will focus on facilities, endowments, scholarships, and other identified needs for our women's programs. Two critical priorities include a state-of-the-art practice facility that will serve our gymnastics, cheer, and dance teams, as well as an operations facility for our nationally competitive field hockey program that will keep us on par with the best programs in the country. Iowa Athletics has been at the forefront of supporting women in sports for 50 years. With your investment in Hawkeye Women Rise, there is no limit to what our female student athletes can accomplish. Please visit HawkeyeWomenRise.org to learn more.
Hello, welcome back to the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast at the Athletic Club, and we thank our sponsor, the Iowa City Area Sports Commission. We've got some great questions to round out our show today. This is the Empower Her segment. So let's start. We've got a question for head coach Larissa Libby. What is the hardest move on the floor?
The hardest skill that probably our team does, there are different levels. Like E level is the hardest. Karina does, she does a double layout, which is, if I would stand up, it's like 2 backwards flips in that position. But there are young ladies on our team that have the same level. It's just different skills. So there's a lot of kids that do a front twisting double full, and that's also an E. So then we also have another freshman who does a full in, which is, if you think of a double back, like 2 flips, it's on the first flip, you twist a full twist, and on the second one, you're just flipping backwards. Yeah. So on our team, those are the hardest skills on floor.
Incredible.
I feel like you need some figurines.
I do. I need it like
demonstrate it.
A Barbie or something.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Something.
Okay, for Jenny, we've got a question for you. What do tryouts look like for the Iowa dance team?
Yeah, so we've moved away from a tryout, like a one-day tryout situation, to more of a recruitment-based model. So it's not all eggs in one basket. You know, it used to be kind of a cattle call on one weekend in April. Everybody come, and then you're learning things and, you know, rounds of cuts and things. You know, you might have seen it on, like, Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders.
Yes.
Yeah, we've gone away from that. So it's more of a recruitment-based model where I'm having clinics throughout the year. I'm having dancers come on campus. I'm seeing them in person. They're submitting videos, recruitment questionnaires, letters of recommendation, things like that. And as I get to see their videos, I get to see who's interested in coming here. That kind of starts the conversation, and then it goes from there. So depending on how many seniors I have graduating will depend on how many new dancers I accept onto the team.
How do you kind of keep the same number of roster?
Yes, yeah, we're at about 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you have women, men interested in joining the dance team, they should definitely check out your camps and your clinics.
For sure. I'm a huge proponent of, you actually have to come to campus to see if you like the University of Iowa, to see if you like me, right? I'm the one that you have to interact with all the time. And so if you don't like how I coach or how I interact with you, or, you know, you also get to interact with the current team members. And so I think it's really important for dancers to see, is that the vibe I'm going for? Do I get along with the people on the team? Do I like the style? Do I like how Jenny runs a practice, right? And if they like that, then come here. And if they don't, then that's okay, because there are hundreds of programs across the country. And like I said, we have a huge presence at all Hawkeye sporting events. Not every single Division I dance program is like that. They are more competition focused. They maybe aren't as respected by their athletic department. You know, you have to find what suits you and what feels comfortable for you and what you like. And so that's why, you know, if anyone's interested in being on a college dance team anywhere, I highly encourage you, you know, go to their campus, go to one of their clinics, and experience it.
Okay, Larissa, can anyone do the move, the skill on your team that is named after you? The Libby.
Oh, what's
no,
the,
it's not.
What's
it's sorry. Tell me what it's called.
It's the lowing.
It's the lowing.
The lowing.
I wasn't married
what
then.
Is it?
What's your maiden name?
What is it?
It's a mount on beam. It's a one-arm handstand, and then you kind of press down on one arm. Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of tough.
Can anyone do the?
We've never really, that's the hard thing is like we get them when they're 18, 19. Like handstand skill work is like something you learn, you should learn when you're younger, and that carries you all the way through your sport. Yeah, we haven't had the opportunity to create or have time with someone to do that. It took me a long time. I was very young when I learned it. And to be honest, we had a handstand coach from the Moscow Circus when I was training.
Really?
So my entire club team had some skill or something. I mean, it was crazy what we could do. I could do a handstand on anything, on a pipe, on a rope, anything, on someone's hand. So we trained for 2 hours at the end of like every other practice with this guy from the Moscow Circus, and that's how we learned it. But yeah, we don't have anybody doing that.
Okay, well,
I want to learn. Let's learn.
We'll look for that. You can learn. I don't know about me.
Tom Brands always talks about it. Every time he sees me, it's the first thing he says. So I don't know. Maybe he's been training behind the scenes, and he might be able to do it.
Coach Brands might be able to do it. Okay,
Yeah.
that's a good question.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Jenny, we have a question back for you, which is just what was the Orlando experience like down at UDA Nationals?
Yeah, it's a whirlwind. It's 3 days of competition. So this year, for the first time, they had jazz preliminaries. So because there was over 30 Division 1A teams competing in the jazz division, they divided it up into two preliminary groups. Then you had to qualify for the semifinals to then qualify for the finals. So we compete in 3 routines. We bring game day, jazz, and pom. So we could have competed a total of 7 times. We competed 6 of 7, so we were very proud. But that's the most we've ever done.
Yeah.
And it's exhausting.
Yeah.
I mean, you go out on the floor for your 2 to 3 minutes, you compete, you get your scores back, within an hour, and then if you qualify for the next round, you're immediately back into warm-ups, practicing and going back onto the floor, taking in the judges' feedback, fixing things, to then go out and compete again, to then wait for awards, to then get ready to compete again, and so it's a huge roller coaster. So it's a lot of, managing emotions. It's a lot of learning and growing in the moment. I wish that there were more opportunities for us to compete, because just the amount of growth that I witnessed in my team from Friday to Sunday was amazing. And so, I wish that the college dance team world was structured a little differently, that we had more opportunities, because I do feel like if we had more throughout the season, that the growth would just be exponential. But the amount of growth I saw throughout this weekend was amazing, and just the emotional fortitude and the mental strength that it took to get them to the final day, and for them to perform the way they performed in finals with pom was amazing. And then just walking off the floor, just that, seeing all of them hugging each other, the seniors, that emotional release of, wow, that was my final time competing as a Hawkeye, is just, I don't know, makes my heart proud.
That's a lot. You had a lot this weekend.
Yeah.
You did. That's a lot. That's a lot to go through. All right, a couple questions for both of you. If you could coach another sport, what would it be?
Wow.
I told you we're not good at anything else. It's so hard. Right now, it would be wrestling.
Oh my gosh, I was going to say the same thing.
Because it's the one I know the most about. My closest friends have like things that they hold in their hand. Field hockey will die. Like that ball is so hard. But if we would get hit with that now, we'd be down for the count. I don't, and that's why I'm like really excited about where the facility is and being able to learn about other people. I don't think other people understand how hard it is to do other sports. Like, I don't think that I could just bend over. It would kill my back. And I know that our athletes would feel that same way. Wrestling is something that we're around a lot right now. And a long time ago, Tom and I had, we were sharing a facility as Carver was being built. So I learned then a lot about wrestling, and we're not that dissimilar in thought,
I think
and the mentality.
Yeah, And I also think like just the body awareness
Yes.
that it takes
Yes.
to do like, gymnastics, dance, cheerleading, wrestling. My husband, Luke Eustice, might disagree, but I just think the body awareness. I also think, just that mental toughness that you have to have in, if you fall off the beam, what do you have to do? You have to get back on, right? If you get taken down in wrestling, like you got to get back up.
Yeah.
In dance, you fall out of a turn, like guess what? The music's still playing. You can't
Yeah,
stop.
you can't
have
stop.
to
You
keep
gotta
going.
go.
So I think a lot of the mental aspects are very similar as well.
And both of you guys have had great relationships with both men's and women's wrestlings. I know you guys have had some crossovers and even gone to some different practices, which has been really fun for your two teams.
Yeah, it's been incredible. Adeline, she, kind of holds her hat on, and she was like, Sterling is one of their athletes, and she was trying to teach them to throw each other, and she actually threw Sterling, and Sterling was like, what just happened? How did she manage that? Sterling's a great teacher. That's how she managed. So it is, we're far more delicate. Like, I don't think that, like, it's tough what we do, but we manipulate our bodies. We do everything that happens to us. With wrestling, to have somebody pick you up and chuck you on the floor, I'm not sure that we're really made for that. The mentality would be very, very different. But it is something about all sports, but that particularly, just that one-on-one combat with another human being where it's just complete your mentality against theirs and who is stronger in that moment. It doesn't always come down, so I learned, it doesn't always come down to the physicality. A lot of the times it's a mentality before you ever even approach. So I like that aspect of it because I'm a big mentality person. And there's nothing to manipulate, so.
Shout out to both our wrestling teams for sure. And really, thanks you guys both for coming out today. And I know that you're dealing with jet lag and you're dealing with being able to get ready for your next meet and all the practices that go into it. And so I really appreciate you guys. And being able just to highlight both of you and celebrate you is really an honor. And I appreciate both what you do every single day and really excited for the future of you and the role that your programs have in the Hawkeye Women Rise capital campaign. So thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you always. And thank you all for coming out today and joining us once again. We really appreciate it. We will be back next month with another great guest here at the Athletic Club on the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast and program. Thank you all, and make sure you all stay warm. Go Hawks!
This has been the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast, presented by the Iowa City Area Sports Commission. Hawkeye fans, remember to hit the subscribe button on your favorite podcast app. Once you become a Fight for Iowa podcast subscriber, you'll automatically receive the latest episodes of the Fight for Iowa podcast, the Hawkeye Women Rise podcast, Hawk Talk replays, exclusive game content, and more. Until next time, on Iowa, and go Hawks! The preceding has been a Learfield presentation on the Hawkeye Sports Network.